What's going on, guys? Manny here with Yellow Tape DFS, here to give you my final look at Week 10 of the NFL. If you haven't done so already, please go ahead and hit that like button. If you're new to the channel, please don't forget to subscribe and ring that bell notification so you can stay up to date on all the current stuff that I do happen to put out on video. Now, we're going to start off in the quarterback position just like normal. All right, we're going to start off Kyler Murray. Arizona is going against Buffalo with Josh Allen as well. I like both sides of this game. It's supposed to be a high implied total. I want a piece of both sides. All right, I'm going to stack both sides. I'm going to stack Murray with Hopkins, with Kirk, Allen with Diggs and John Brown. It's going to be a nice game. That's going to be an exciting one to watch. Aaron Rodgers, I'm going to have a few game stacks with this guy. Obviously, Davante Adams is in a huge smash spot right now. We do have some news that's in about the weather conditions being pretty windy there. So I'm going to limit my exposure to Rodgers, but I do have to have some for the fact that if it doesn't affect the game as much as it's being talked about, then this game is going to be out of hand. So I will have my share of Rodgers. Russell Wilson and Jared Goff. Okay, Wilson is just playing out of his mind this entire year. Jared Goff has been throwing, I believe, one of the most throwing yards of quarterbacks that they do have out there at the moment, going against Seattle's terrible secondary, who are out of two of their starters. So with that being said, I am stacking the crap out of this game as well. All right, now we have Deshaun Watson going against Cleveland, the other game that happens to have the same type of issue that the Jacksonville and Green Bay game is going to have. It's supposed to be very, very windy. Now, I will have my fair share of Deshaun Watson. I may throw a small percentage of Baker Mayfield, but he's not really on my radar. All right, so I am more so looking into other things for that game. Herbert, this guy's been playing out of his mind, and I'm also going to run it back with Tua. I want to have exposure to this game as well. I think it's going to be a nice game going back and forth. Maybe, just maybe that the Chargers can actually hang on to a game and not blow it like they've been doing all season. Now, the other teams' quarterbacks that I may have exposure to would be Breeze, Brady, and Ben. Just off of the sole factor of who they are, I might want to have, like a little 5% of each of them, and then make my way down also to Jake Luton against Green Bay. Once again, if the wind is not the factor, I do want to have a few bits and a few lineups, some exposure to this guy, tapping in with DJ Chark, Tyler Eifert, but we'll get to that here in a moment. All right, now moving over to running backs, I do like Aaron Jones at the top of the list pretty much. He's probably my go-to if the win factor is the issue. James Conner going against Cincinnati seems to be great. Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt, they're both in play for me. We don't know which one's going off. I need to have exposure to both. All right, Robinson going against Green Bay, who has terrible run defense. Regardless whether it's windy or not, I want exposure to this guy. All right, now let's see further down. We're going to go to Leonard Fournette as well as Ronald Jones. I want exposure to both of them. Just because we don't know which one's going off, and we know Carolina is atrocious against the run. All right, same deal there. Giovanni Bernard against Pittsburgh. I know Pittsburgh is really good against the run. He is a catching back. This is strictly for PPR purposes. I do think that he has a potential to do well here at a price tag of $5,400. All right, moving further down, we will have DJ Dallas. Just a moment ago, we did have news that both Carson and what is the other gentleman's name? It's off. Can't get it off the top of my head. Carson and Hyde, they're both ruled out. They got downgraded. All right. So Carson and Hyde both downgraded to out. Dallas will be starting again. I want to have exposure to him, especially against a Rams team that's not great against the run. He has been efficient, 3 touchdowns in 2 games. All right. Duke Johnson, if the win factor is the issue in this game, I will have exposure to this guy because he's going to be running the ball. David Johnson is out. All right, now going down to your bare minimum salary, I do have 2 players here that I do like. Obviously, one everybody knows about, everybody's talking about him, the man, the myth, the legend, Mike Davis with no McCaffrey in. I think this guy's going to be the most popular play on the site. And then in the fact of New Orleans against San Francisco, if this game does get carried away, I want to have exposure to Latavius Murray as well. All right, now moving along to wide receivers, Davante Adams, DeAndre Hopkins, DK Metcalf, Stephon Diggs. I mean, Michael Thomas, Keenan Allen, all these guys are in play for me. Cooper Kupp, Terry McLaurin. If you see it on this list right here on this page with me, they are all in play. All right, these guys are all on the games that I'm trying to target, and if they're not in the specific games, they are the one-offs that I do want. All right, moving down, Fulgham, there's good reason to play some of him. Tyler Boyd, DJ Chark, I like him against this game script. All right, so looking at DJ Chark, we'll go ahead and have that guy there as well. Antonio Brown, I think he's in a great spot going against Carolina. Same thing with Claypool. I think Claypool has the best matchup as far as being in the secondary against Cincinnati. I think he's going to have great exposure as far as getting his production there. Christian Kirk, love that guy. John Brown, same thing as like playing a Christian Kirk. They're both in great spots as the wide receiver 2 on both of their respective teams. Or let's see, moving further down under John Brown, I like Devontae Parker at 5,000. All right, Curtis Samuel at 4,900. He's in a great spot also. Then Rashard Higgins in a nice spot. If win's not an issue, I want this guy in the game. AJ Green, what can I say? Mr. Old Faithful, Mr. Reliable, 4,400, gets a huge target share. I want him in the game. Now, the next guy that I have coming up is only $3,500. He has been getting an uptick in target share. Josh Reynolds, plug him in. He's in a great spot, right along with, obviously, Robert Woods and the rest of the gang there. I definitely want my fair share of this gentleman. Then making it down to Cam Sims, he's in a great spot. If you do happen to want to stack the Washington game with their quarterback, obviously putting him in with McLaurin would be a ideal move. Now, as far as the minimum salary 3Ks, I do like Chris Conley for Jacksonville, moving up in the depth chart, as well as the last but not least would be Jakeem Grant for Miami, moving up in the depth chart as well as the number 2 receiver. All right, there are injury of Preston Williams and the trade of Isaiah Ford makes this guy wide receiver 2, so he's going to have more run. Doesn't necessarily mean that his usage is going to increase, but survey says that would be the logistical idea. All right, then moving along to tight ends. I do like Darren Waller, rightfully so. This guy is a beast week in, week out. Then I do like Evan Ingram going against Philly. If the Giants have to do anything to keep the game close, I think it's going to be this guy that does the work there. Eric Ebron against Cincinnati. I like that guy as well. Beyond that, I think 3,900 Austin Hooper coming back from his issue with appendicitis. I think he's looking to have a bounce back. There is respect to, say, Higbee at 3,700. This guy was a top 5 fantasy point producer last year in the last 5 games of the season. All right, then there are recommendations for Fells or Atkins, provided that this is a windy game. Short passes are going to be key. Then below that, at 2,700, I like Tyler Eifert, and at 2,600, I like Jacob Hollister. All right, another guy who has been moving up in the depth chart. He has overtaken the role of the other 2 as the starting. He had 7 targets, 5 receptions, 60 yards, 11 points at 2,600. If he's doing this again, sign me up. You're essentially like 4xing your value, a little bit more. I'm in. All right. As far as defense is concerned, we do have an interest in the Saints if the Niners aren't going to be able to produce, which is not that far-fetched of an idea of seeing happening. I think the Saints are in a great spot. I mean, look what they just did against the Bucs, right? Moving down, I think the Giants would actually be the pivot off of Philly that everybody's going to be on. I think the Giants did have a decent showing on defense the very last 2 games, and it may continue to flourish now. I do like the Lions against Washington, and vice versa, the Washington against the Lions. Either way, I think this could be a defensive game on that spectrum. Moving further down, I see consideration for the Texans, Seahawks, and Rams at defense as well. So it's kind of like plug and play. There's never a real solid contender. It's very seldom that you can say, oh, this is the defense that I want to play this week and lock it in, like the 1 week with the Miami Dolphins where everybody plugged them in. And if you didn't, you basically didn't cash because they got 26 points for like $2,600. All right, so hopefully this is enough information to get you guys in the green. If you like it, love it, please leave a comment. Give me your favorite play. Tell me something about you. If you haven't, share this to all your friends. I greatly appreciate you. Let's make this money, and you guys stay blessed.